Hello and welcome. Well, raising children is undoubtedly one of the hardest jobs in the world. Interestingly enough, it's not a job that we put on our resumes, despite that the hours are 24/7 with more pressure than any paid position that we could ever think of. Now, have you ever thought just for a moment about the additional challenges and concerns parents of children with food intolerances face and just the many layers of complexity that it brings to their lives? I think it's really important just to be empathetic and mindful just of the anguish and the stress that it can bring to them and their lives every day. So today, to help show our support, we're speaking with Tarnya Bruinier, a qualified nurse, teacher, mother to three children, two with intolerances, and the founder of Gourmet You. Now, Tarnya is going to share expert tips for raising children with intolerances from her personal experiences. Now, as a nurse and a passionate cook, Tarnya decided that she could help support other parents who had children with food intolerances by providing products, education, and coaching to ensure everyone can enjoy food, feel healthy, and avoid the same journey that she had. Thanks for joining us, Tarnya. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to you sharing your experiences of parenting kids with food intolerances and just hearing all about this, because this is something, no doubt, that in our lives that we've really seen sort of increase the amount of adults and children that have
That's
sort of food intolerances and just how it sort of impacts people's lives. And,
mm,
talking about children, I guess they are a living part of our heart outside of our body. And, their happiness and well-being matter more to parents than anything else,
yeah.
as we are, of course, so deeply and emotionally connected with them. But I'd love to know initially, as a parent, with two out of your three children with food intolerances, could I ask, what is it like living these emotions each and every day then?
Well, my eldest daughter, is the one that didn't have any intolerances. So we had the first 2 years, learning how to be a parent, that type of thing. So that was kind of a little break that it wasn't the first child that had an intolerance. And then, my younger two had the intolerances, and just seeing how unwell they could be sometimes and the changes in their moods, and that they couldn't enjoy some things that any kid could just go to Macca's or have an ice cream, and we couldn't just go and do those fun things with the kids. So that can be a challenge sometimes.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of parents initially have their rose-colored glasses on when they are expecting a child and what it means to be a parent. And it's common that this rosy picture can sometimes be, and in the nicest way possible, but it's like a naive version of how life is going to play out, because you don't know. I mean, everyone expects, or no one really expects and plans or preempts that their child will have food intolerances. So it's almost and always, it seems like a shock for parents to discover this. Was that sort of your experience?
It is. And I also think that sometimes you grieve the life that you think your kids could have had. Do you know what I mean? Like you have this vision in your mind of who your child's going to be and what they can enjoy as a child. And then when they can't experience that, you kind of grieve for them that they're missing out on the things that a lot of other kids can go through.
Yeah. So can you maybe tell us firsthand, what feelings and emotions you experienced as a parent when you first discovered, your first child had an intolerance? Like, what did you sort of go through?
I guess it was quite difficult because you could see she was in a lot of pain. So my daughter Gemma was about 18 months old, and the food intolerances developed after she started really eating. So she wasn't allergic as a baby, so that was thankful. But then as she started to grow, she would hurt herself intentionally. So she would hit her head on a wall and things like that. And that was very disturbing. That was a relief for her to get rid of some of the pain that she was feeling. And
Wow.
then she would get eczema and things on her face. So people would obviously look at her a bit differently, and like her face would be bleeding and things like that. So that was very upsetting to see that she wasn't this. Obviously, she was still beautiful, but her skin was, really struggling. And it's quite daunting to think, how am I not doing the best that I can do and help them through this when you can't understand what is wrong because they're so young.
Yeah. And through your business as well, what do you find is the most common reaction parents have as
When
soon
they
as they discover their child has an intolerance?
But to be honest, I think it's often actually relief, because then you feel like you're not crazy. You think, well, obviously there is something wrong with my child, because at the beginning you think, oh, maybe I'm just being, that helicopter parent or whatever, and
And you
I'm
blame
just
yourself.
yeah, and you think I'm just making it up even. And so then when you figure out that there is something that you can do about it, then there's the relief that you think, well, now I've got something to work on. I've got a goal to go towards that I can help them get through this.
Yeah.
And so I think that is obviously scary to begin with, but then when you figure out what it is, it's a real relief.
And then following that discovery, I mean, how difficult did you find the transition and then just adapting to that new lifestyle then?
Well, I guess with my kids is actually the second part of my story. So my sister, about 8 years earlier, had some pain, and they thought she had appendicitis. So she went in for surgery to get her appendix out, and they actually discovered that her bowel had so much damage that she had half of it removed. So I
Wow.
was still with my family at that time, and I was the main cook because my parents were working and things. So I was having to adapt food back then, and that was definitely a lot harder. Because that was 10 years ago, before there was even so many products available. So my sister's gluten-free, and that was really hard trying to adapt recipes for our family at that time. And then when my kids found out, it was a different intolerance, but at least I already had a little bit of the knowledge and access to recipes and things that from helping my sister
As well.
previous.
So
Yeah.
overall then, in your experience, what have you found then, I guess, to be the hardest part of just parenting children with intolerances?
Probably socializing. Eating at home, like we go camping a lot, and that's never an issue for us. I can prepare all the food, I can go to send them to kinder, I can do all of it because I can prepare the food for them and I know that it's safe. But going into an environment, into an outside environment where we might go to a party or go out for dinner or something, that can be very difficult, and still is, because you never know if there's going to be something suitable there for them to eat.
Yes. And we're going to speak about this in just a little bit, but before we sort of get stuck into all the other questions, I just wanted to acknowledge we published your article, and the title is Tips for Raising Children with Food Intolerances. Now, for someone who hasn't read the article yet, can you please tell us what it's about and, of course, what inspired you to write it?
I guess the part of my business that I'm really passionate about is helping other families and people progress through their intolerances to a point where it's manageable. So
Yeah.
being able to share some tips with other people on ways that they can help get their kids to a point where it's manageable would have been really helpful for me back then. So I'm happy to write about it. And so the main points that I chose were about getting the kids involved in the cooking and making sure they understand that they can't eat everything, and educating the children. Making sure that you have a support network, whether that be your doctor or your family or people within the school, somebody that you can bounce ideas off and that understands what you might be going through is really helpful.
And we're going to speak about all of this in just a little bit as well. But I just wanted to acknowledge also, parenting can also be very rewarding. We've sort of been speaking about, I guess, the challenges of having children with food intolerances, and or even being a parent with food intolerances as well can definitely be challenging. But there's no greater joy than seeing your children thrive despite their intolerances. So I'd love to know, from that perspective, what do you think is the key to achieving this then?
You really just persistence, I suppose. So obviously when you're eating your normal things, you just go out and you might want to have a spaghetti bowl, and everyone has their own traditional recipe for that. It's never the same. And you have to just keep persisting and trying and adapting it until you find one that the kids can enjoy, and just keep going with it. You have to keep trying different things, different restaurants, different recipes, and you will have to be resilient, but be persistent, and you'll get there.
Yeah, I think resilience and persistence are the two key words I sort of got from that then. So
Yeah.
have you sort of found that you need to have, I guess, strong communication with your children so they also understand the importance of the risk factors that could affect them as well? Is communication very important, do you think?
It is. And I was a special school teacher before I started
Oh,
Gourmet
wow.
You. So that I think helped me because my Gemma didn't learn to speak very well at a young age, and that was part of her intolerance. She had blocked ears and things like that. And so I developed a lot of labeling systems in our house that very simple, just pictures with a picture of a cow and then it had a cross in it. And so she knew that that was a dairy-free option. If she could see a cow, a crossed out cow on a box of cereal or on a muesli bar or something, then that was something safe for her to eat. And then she's now 4, so she can just ask, Mummy, is this dairy-free? Making sure that she's aware that if she wants something, she asks permission, or she asks the adult that, is this dairy-free? And some people don't know, but then they can come and ask me as well. So making sure that she's aware and knows how to ask has been very helpful.
So age-appropriate communication, it sounds like, is very, very important. And picture cards, as you just said, is something that no doubt is quite useful. I mean, do you not know of anything else, I guess, that parents have used and can use in communicating the importance of the risk factors with their kids at all?
There is quite a few, they're called social stories that you can watch online, and it's like you put the kid in the situation, and so
Yes.
the child will just read the book, and it will say, when I go out, I need to ask permission before I can eat a food from somebody else or something like that, so they can get used to the language of asking. The labelling is helpful, but if you don't have the resources to make those labels, you can just go to the supermarket, and one thing my mum does, for example, is just buys the little sticker dots. And if it's a dairy-free option, it'll be blue. And so she'll put blue stickers on everything in her pantry. And then when the kids come over, they know they can eat all the blue food at Nanny's because that's a safe idea for them. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
just really enabling and empowering the children to thrive through communication and
yeah.
organisation sounds like it's really sort of key. And
Helping
and
them
talking,
be independent with it.
what was that? Sorry.
Helping them be independent with it. As a 4-year-old, she's capable of doing that now, so she can look and check and yeah.
And psychologically, that's got to help her as well. That's going to take a lot of that pressure and that strain from her to be able to just freely go about her life, and she understands the restrictions with regards to what she can and can't do. But have you sort of found that sort of within her sort of it has helped, I guess, her confidence overall?
Yes, she is quite happy that she thinks she can read the labels now. She'll just say, "Oh, I know dairy free," and she thinks she's reading, but obviously it's the picture cue. But that's okay, and that really helps her. I was going to say something. Sorry, I've forgotten, but that's
That's okay,
okay.
but I just wanted to talk a little bit more about communication. I mean, have you ever found that it's challenging to explain the importance of intolerances to your wider network and to your tribe, to friends and family, and the village around you? Have you had any issues with that, and or known, I guess, through your business, any other people that have really struggled with that?
I think that gut health is a very new area in science, and a lot of people are a little skeptical that people are suffering from intolerances, which can be a challenge in itself.
Yeah,
Obviously, an allergy is an immune reaction. It's very obvious, very instant. People have
it's
known
visual
about
too.
food
You can
allergies,
see it a lot of the
yes,
time. Yeah,
for a long time. And because intolerances aren't life-threatening, in that situation. Whereas if my daughter has a bit of cow's milk, well, she's not going to end up in hospital with that. And so then a lot of people probably don't take it as seriously, I think, as an allergy, which it doesn't have to be, but there's no need to be, not try and put the effort in and
yes.
help with it. So it can be difficult to explain. And until they see it perhaps firsthand, that, sometimes she might have diarrhea 10 times a day, or then she'll eat something and she'll get the bleeding eczema again. And once the people in our network saw that reaction, then they were like, wow, I really need to be more supportive and help in this situation.
Yeah. So educate the village around you and your child. It sounds like, so grandparents, childcare workers, family, friends, and just the community
Yes.
groups. It sounds like it's anyone that's really important to your child's life, to ensure that they do understand, and be
Yeah.
sure that they know what your child can and can't eat. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
right. I made a lot of lists for the grandparents because my kids go there a lot. So I made them a specific food box that was for the kids, and on the top it had a label with the brands that they can eat that I had investigated and checked.
Yeah.
And so then when they go there and they eat all the specific Oreos are dairy free, which is amazing. So they can eat Oreos, and then my mother-in-law will know that she can go and buy a new packet of Oreos and they'll be safe.
Yeah. And just talking about, I guess, this initial struggle that people can have when they discover their child has got an intolerance and communicating it to their wider network and their tribe. Do you think that these problems are mainly due to people being just misinformed, or just possibly just people's ignorance? What are your thoughts?
I don't think that it's ignorance, in that the people that care for them are going to be committed to helping them. So I think often a lot of people in older generations, because the gut health is such a new topic, that it is information, and that the education can really help in that
Help.
regard.
Yeah. And as you don't have food intolerances yourself, and I guess for any other parent that's in the same position, I mean, asking you, I mean, did you initially find it hard to adapt to a new way of cooking for the family? And do you think that this is something that a lot of parents in the same situation have sort of battled with? So how did you sort of get through that then? Is it just the fact that you have to just keep trying, as you said earlier?
There is a few resources around now with lists that you can find for your specific intolerance, like FODMAP lists and dairy free, and they'll list brands and everything. So, as I did find that very time consuming to begin with, trying to go to the supermarket and read the labels. So, my husband would set aside a few hours for me to go into the grocery so that I could check the labels. So, but there is now a lot more available where you can just type it in, and a lot of people will give you the brand names. And we have some on our website as well of brands that I've found. And then adapting the recipes to help the kids. So there is a lot available at the supermarket now, like the cheeses and, you can swap garlic. If you can't have garlic, you can buy garlic oil as a safe option. So just finding out the options available to you makes it a lot easier to access recipes and things.
So how and where do you find those links? And/or can we include some of them in the show notes then as well to help some of the parents, do you think?
Yes, on our website we have some free documents in there that are
Great.
available through the recipe page as well. And they're just lists of dairy-free options, low FODMAP options. So they're just downloadable as a PDF, so you can go over there and
Oh,
grab
that's
those on.
awesome. Yeah, okay, we'll definitely include those links in the show notes. And talking about the recipes as well, can you maybe just let us know some easy ways, I guess, to adapt recipes for kids then?
Yeah, so it obviously depends on your intolerance. So if we start with dairy-free, both of my kids are dairy-free. You can substitute any milk 1-to-1 in a recipe. It makes no difference to how the recipe will turn out.
Mm-hmm.
Adjusting butter, though, it can be a little bit more difficult because butter is more solid than margarine. So even a coconut oil may be a better option to substitute because it's more solid.
Yeah.
So that's a really easy way to adjust to be dairy free in your cooking.
Mm-hmm.
With FODMAP options, which are natural fruit and vegetable sugars, that type of thing, there's such a wide variety of foods that are safe and then, like moderated, that there's some really good recipes out there. If you just type FODMAP options in, you'll find out the safe vegetables, and you just convert all your recipes to include 5 vegetables that your kids like. Just begin with those and make sure that you're pushing something that they enjoy while you're changing
Yeah, as
your
well.
recipes.
And then,
Yeah.
then talking about that, how do you get the kids involved in learning about intolerances and cooking then?
I guess when they were little, I didn't push the intolerance side of it very much. They were, 2 years old, so they didn't really need to know about it at that age. But my husband made some really fantastic ladders for the kids, like just a little step stool type of thing, and they'd get up every morning and we'd make rum balls or something that they liked, and made sure that they felt special in the kitchen. So they've got their little apron and their own little cooking tool that would spatula or whatever that they wanted to use. And then as they got a bit older, I got them to write down one thing on our shopping list every week that they wanted for dinner. And so my daughter still chooses pumpkin soup every week, but that's okay. And then the other kids might choose something else. So giving them a bit of a voice in what you're going to cook, and then giving them the skills to learn how to cook and make things for themselves is really helpful.
As well. And in your article, which you briefly mentioned at the start of the chat, that you list sort of 3 ways that I guess parents can sort of help. Can you maybe just go through them with us now, if that's okay? So the first one is get help. So if you think that there's something wrong, just trust your gut. Can you maybe just tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. As I was saying before, that it can take some time to get to figure out what is wrong, and that that you are onto it. So you really have to listen to yourself and trust that you think there might be something wrong, or that they're struggling with the food. So if you notice a symptom, and they can be so vague, even a lot of doctors originally told us that they thought my daughter was teething because she was having, the rash and the drooling and things. And I just kept persisting, and I saw someone different. And then I saw a naturopath, and they suggested maybe try the elimination diet. So just making sure that you access resources, whether it be a GP or a naturopath or whatever path you choose to go down. But if you just keep, persisting again until you get the help, there's a lot out there. So.
And should they just start with seeing their GP first? Otherwise, like, where should they start when they start to sort of notice the change in the child's health? And
I would definitely recommend the GP first, because a food allergy could still be a very real it could be a food allergy rather than intolerance. And if they have an allergy, it's a lot more serious. So you're best off getting the allergy test first, get that eliminated, and then you can push towards the intolerance path if you think there's still something there.
So if still unsure, get like a second or third opinion then, and then ask for more tests, would you say?
Yes. And they can easily get blood tests and things to check for celiacs. Is a very easy test to do. To get a lactose, if your child might be lactose free, they can just do a poo sample and it gets sent off, and they can test for the sugars. So it's quite simple.
So, and talking about tests, there's a lot of options you can try, including blood scans, sort of scopes, and elimination diets as well. So there's lots, isn't there? But just to be sure that you keep pushing until you can get some help, and that you have a plan. It sounds like as well. Would you say?
Yeah. So if you think there's something wrong, there usually is, and it's just something in your environment. It might even be a soap or something.
Yes.
But you can
something as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And you
next
can
thing.
still do that. So.
And the next thing on your list is to be prepared. So prepare food in advance and in bulk. And you did mention that before. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And I guess that can sort of save time as well, I guess. Sort of win-win.
It does. And a lot of people are a bit daunted by meal prep. But then if you're getting your kids involved, that's part of their fun. That's part of their activities. And, something you can schedule in with the kids. Well, today is your cooking day with the thing you chose to make. So that might be a rum ball or something. And they freeze really well. So you can make, 30 of them. They get one each day, and that's easy. And it's actually cheap in the long run than buying things from the supermarket.
As well. And talking about your pantry, how do you organise your pantry at home? Like, do you do anything in particular? Do you have those stickers that you were talking about before? Do you use those?
I don't have the sticker dots. I originally made the labels with like the dairy-free whatever.
Yeah.
But now we just all eat that way because I found that simpler. So we have the whole pantry's got all the labels on it, and then my kids have their own safe snack box now with their picture, like their little drink bottle labels on it. So if that's got their name on it, they can eat anything in that snack box. Otherwise, the things in our fridge are all safe for them at this point.
As well. Yeah. And do you have a shelf with your child's safe foods as well in your pantry or not?
Yes. So the box and the things that they can have are all at their height. So then they can come in and they can choose something that they might like to have. So.
And it's really good what you said before, for any other relative grandparents, to be able to have coloured stickers on each product that is safe. So a green sticker, or is gluten free, or yellow sticker is for dairy free or what have you. So as long as the children understand, what each sort of,
and it's consistent across the households.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that. The next one you have in the article is plan ahead. So know, I guess, when you are going out, and this is what you're mentioning, that anything outside of your sort of your home, or what you can control, like cafe, restaurants, and those types of things, to plan ahead and do your research as to what is suitable that they could eat, and if there isn't anything, to be able to change the venue if needed. Would you say?
Yeah, so originally, as I said, it's all a learning curve, but now we know where we can go that's got, almond milk milkshakes for things, the kids, that are safe. So you can just call, and most restaurants are really happy to help you if they can. And often they'll say, well, I'm sorry, we don't have that option, but you're welcome to bring something in for your child.
As well.
So I can still eat there, and then the kids can have their own option, and I might make chicken nuggets at home, and they can still sit with their friends and have chicken nuggets while their friends eat their food.
Well.
So meal prepping at home is still going to help in that way. You could make up, 3 serves of nuggets or whatever you want to give them. And then whenever you go out, you take it with you in your little thermos or whatever. And the kids can still eat and enjoy being out with everybody else.
Yes, great advice. And any preparation is better than any other alternative. So it's just better to always plan ahead. And
That's
talking about, outside sort of activities, special occasions, and even things like outdoor fetes and festivals, these types of things can, I guess, prove to be really difficult. So from that perspective, how can we make children with food allergies feel safe and welcomed at things like functions and special occasions? Is it to always, as you just said, to bring your own food?
I just always take it anyway, because sometimes even if you are prepared at a wedding or something, weddings are a great thing for kids, really, because they always make sure they cater for everybody that's there. But otherwise, I always take food with me, because it just ensures that at least they won't be hungry. And my other daughter just eats it as well. So yeah, I just always take it with me. But when you do go out, if you can try and find out in advance what, pop-up shops are going to be there, or what food is available, and try and buy it from there if you can, so they can enjoy the experience, but just keep the safe option in your bag.
And don't make a fuss as well, I guess. Just make sure the children are treated like everyone else. I
That's
think
right.
that would be really important.
It
Um,
is, because you don't want them to feel like the outsider. So I often will eat what they eat, just so that they say, oh, mummy and I are having this, and then
what a
my
great
daughter will.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that feeling of inclusion as well is really important. But what about children's birthday parties? What's your advice here?
In a way, my daughter's still quite young, so we haven't been to like a party where we don't know the parents. She's only 4, so she only goes to family friends at the moment, and they always have made such an effort. And they ring me in advance and make sure that they can have at least a couple of options for Gemma, and I always take a plate with me. So I will take a little snack plate or whatever for all the kids to share, and it might just be fairy bread, but at least I know that Gemma can eat that with her friends when we get there.
As well. And would you
Yeah.
suggest like talking, I mean, as children get older, and for anyone else watching and listening, talk to the parents, of course, hosting the
Yes.
party to explain what the allergies are,
Yeah.
and just to sort of inquire what they usually do for parties. Would you think, yeah, obviously that's something it's really important.
Yeah. I think a lot more people are getting more aware of it now too, though, that kids have peanut allergies, and that's been around for a long time. So I think parents are starting to ask in advance, can your child eat when they get here, or how can I help? So, and
As
most
well.
people are very keen to make sure that all the kids are included.
As well. And I understand some children might be okay just to avoid their allergens as well, and eat from what is available that you prepare and you actually sort of take to the party. So some parents, as you said before, may bring a couple of plates to share that their child can eat, and others may just choose just to bring their own food up as well. So, I
Right.
guess.
And as long as it's something that your child enjoys, they're usually quite happy. And if they can share with their friends, then they're happy to say, I brought this, who wants to have some? So
Yeah. The next one is win or learn. So educate the village around you, as we were saying before, and learn about the alternatives for food and adapt to find suitable recipes, and to add to your, I guess, regular mix overall. So if you could
that's,
just maybe expand on that for a moment.
I guess that saying win or learn was about, you're either going to succeed at the start or you're going to learn eventually. So you just, I've made things before and my husband said, this is not that great, but I'll make it again next week, and everybody enjoys it. So you're learning as you go, and that's really important. And there's a lot out there you can talk to. Maternal and child health nurses are actually quite knowledgeable too. If your child is young, they often have a lot of ideas for how you can adapt things. So just making sure that you educate the people around you and keep learning as you go, because there's always new products available, new recipes available that you can access online. So
Yeah, this has been an awesome chat, and we have sort of covered off on a lot. So could you just for a moment maybe just summarize your key messages for anyone watching and listening?
I guess, when you're out there, you need to trust yourself, trust that you can achieve it. You'll have some, fails at the start, like I said, but you'll keep learning and you'll eventually win, and then it will be easy. I don't even really think about it that much anymore. We have our set routine, as everybody does, and you just keep pushing and trying, and you'll find what works for you.
Yeah. And look, if parents have got any other questions and or want to find more about Gourmet You, and or just to reach out just in general to, I guess, to sort of have you as part of their network, whereabouts can they find you?
Our website has all the documents that I was talking about before, some food
Fantastic.
diary things. So that's www.gourmetyou.com.au. And then we have Facebook and Instagram as well. And there's probably a bit more information on there. I put up regular articles and tips on those. So that's at Gourmet You. So you can check those out.
And we'll have all those links in the show notes. Tarnya, thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and really look forward to another one in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, just stay safe. Speak soon.
Thanks very much. Thanks for
Okay.
having us.
All right. Bye.